I'm Michael LeBeau.
And I'm Melanie Keller.
With NewsWrap, a summary of some of the news in or affecting LGBTQ communities around the world for the week ending July 16th, 2022. Russia's no promo homo law would include material distributed to adults if a prominent member of the Duma gets his way. Alexander Kinstein chairs the Information Committee in the lower house of Parliament, and he thinks the country's law banning the dissemination of propaganda of non-traditional sexual relations to minors is insufficient. Kinstein wrote in a social media post, "We propose to fully extend the ban on that sort of propaganda among audiences of all ages, covering offline, media outlets, the internet, social media, as well as in cinema theaters. The current law sends offenders to jail for up to 15 days, or fines them up to 1 million rubles, about $15,500 US. Kinstein is pushing for stronger penalties. Vladimir Putin enthusiastically signed the current no promo homo law in 2013. The legislation essentially killed public pride celebrations. Kinstein plans to introduce his expanded no promo homo legislative package when the Duma reconvenes later this year. Putin's invasion of Ukraine led to Russia's exit from the Human Rights Promoting Council of Europe earlier this year. That move paved the way for increased repression, according to Parliamentary Speaker Vyacheslav Volodin, who said, "Attempts to impose alien values on our society have failed."
Meanwhile, a leading Russian feminist and LGBTQ activist has been acquitted of distributing pornography and LGBT propaganda. Yulia Tsvetkova's The Vagina Monologues blog featured body-positive drawings of the female anatomy. Her arrest in 2019 prompted nationwide protests, resulting in dozens of detentions. The Kremlin officially declared her to be a foreign agent earlier this year. Tsvetkova faced up to 6 years in prison on the porn charges. In a rare legal triumph, she was cleared by the Central Court in Komsomolsk-on-Amur in Far East Russia. Prosecutors can still appeal the verdict. As her mother, Anna Kodyriva, declared on Facebook, "We rejoice, but only for now."
Thousands of people celebrated LGBTQ Pride in Bucharest, even as Romanian lawmakers consider their own version of no promo homo. Organizers claim that more than 15,000 marched for LGBTQ legal protections and marriage equality on July 9th. Fewer than 100 responded with a normalcy march to counter the queer festivities. Romania's Senate has already passed a ban on the use of school materials that promote being LGBTQ. 44 members of the European Parliament's LGBTI intergroup wrote to Romanian officials urging them to scuttle the worrying development. They compared it to similar censorship laws in Russia and Hungary. The measure would allow the government to ban classroom materials that promote the popularization of sex changes or homosexuality. Proponents claim that it prevents child abuse. It's currently being considered by the Romanian Parliament's lower house.
Some Iraqi lawmakers want to prevent homosexuality and the perversions associated with it. MP Aref al-Hamami told the Iraqi news agency that the country's Parliamentary Legal Committee met on July 8th to consider such legislation. Homosexuality has technically been legal in Iraq since 2003. However, most queer Iraqis have been kept in the closet by roving anti-queer religious militias, often with law enforcement complicity. According to Human Rights Watch, LGBTQ people are typically prosecuted for the vague offense of public indecency. Now, al-Hamami and others want to formally criminalize private consensual adult same-gender sex. They're collecting signatures to support the proposal ahead of the next legislative session. Amir Ashur leads the activist group Iraq Queer. He told Britain's Gay Times, "The lives of LGBT plus people and the future of the queer movement are on the line."
Far-right Republican Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton is ready to recriminalize sodomy. Lawrence v. Texas was the U.S. Supreme Court ruling that legalized private consensual adult same-gender sex in 2003. It was one of the decisions Justice Clarence Thomas suggested should be reconsidered in his concurrence with the reversal of Roe v. Wade earlier this year. that and the rights to contraception and marriage equality. Paxton says he'd be eager to defend a Texas sodomy ban if lawmakers reinstate it and a case reaches the high court. He told the right-wing outlet News Nation, "My job is to defend the state law, and I'm certainly willing and able to do that." Along with fellow trans persecutor Governor Greg Abbott, Paxton is seeking re-election in November.
Pennsylvania's Governor Tom Wolf has vetoed a bill to ban trans girls and women from competing in public school sports. He called the measure discriminatory, unnecessary, and incredibly harmful. The state's Republican-controlled legislature tried to enact a trans sports ban last year, but it failed to cross the finish line. The Democrat Wolf warned lawmakers that he would not sign any bill that restricted the rights of LGBTQ people. Wolf wrote on his blog, "The fact that this bill passed through Pennsylvania's Republican-led General Assembly solely to bully and oppress vulnerable children is atrocious. Hate has no place in Pennsylvania."
Drag Queen Brunch defenders used music by ABBA to drown out right-wing extremists at a Hamburger Mary's in Houston, Texas. The weekly Sunday brunches are just about the food and the entertainment by local drag stars and are not marketed to children. Protesters gathered across the street from the queer popular eatery on July 10th, some believing they were protesting a strip show for children. Some of them wore Nazi insignia. Their ignorant outbursts were captured by videographer Kelly Cassabolt and posted to YouTube by news2share.com.
Hey, hey, what do you say? It's okay to be gay! Hey, hey, what do we say? It's okay!
Who in their right mind, what person in your right mind would decide that it is okay to go out and strip down in front of some children? It's not okay for a woman to do that in front of children. It's not okay for a man to do that in front of children. And yet here we are constantly battling this horde of degenerates who want to sit up here and continuously bash everybody that has a moral concept.
Bags not welcome! Bags not welcome! Bags not welcome! Oh my God, is that a Trump rally across the street? Where are all the minorities? It's like a white supremacist rally.
Nazis out now! Nazis out now! Nazis out now!
Finally, Republican Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri added to his dubious legacy at a July 12th Senate hearing by questioning the existence of transgender people. It was at a committee hearing regarding the future of abortion rights following the Supreme Court's reversal of Roe v. Wade. University of California, Berkeley law professor Kiara Bridges tried to educate the senator, best known for raising a supportive fist to Capitol-storming insurrectionists on January 6, 2021. Her efforts were apparently in vain.
Professor Bridges, you've used a phrase, I want to make sure I understand what you mean by it. You've referred to people with a capacity for pregnancy. Would that be women?
Many women, cis women, have the capacity for pregnancy. Many cis women do not have the capacity for pregnancy. There are also trans men who are capable of pregnancy, as well as non-binary people who are capable of pregnancy.
So this isn't really a women's rights issue.
We can recognize that this impacts women while also recognizing that it impacts other groups. Those things are not mutually exclusive, Senator Hawley. I want to recognize that your line of questioning is transphobic, and it opens up trans people to violence by not recognizing that.
Wow, you're saying that I'm opening up people to violence by asking whether or not women are the folks who can have pregnancies?
I want to note that 1 out of 5 transgender persons have attempted suicide. So I think it's important.
Because of my line of questioning?
Do you believe that men can get pregnant?
No, I don't think women can get
So you are
pregnant.
denying that trans people exist?
And that leads to violence? Is this how you run your classroom?
We have a good
By
time in my
questioning.
class. You should join.
Oh, I bet.
You might learn a lot.
That's NewsWrap, global queer news with attitude for the week ending July 16th, 2022. Follow the news in your area and around the world. An informed community is a strong community.
NewsWrap is written by Greg Gordon, edited by Lucia Chappelle, produced by Brian D. Shazer, and brought to you by you.
Thank you. Help keep us in ears around the world at thiswayout.org, where you can also read the text of this newscast, and much more.
And you can read the transcript and listen to NewsWrap each week by subscribing to our This Way Out radio channel on YouTube. For This Way Out, I'm Melanie Keller. Stay healthy.
And I'm Michael LeBeau. Stay safe.
This Way Out delivers LGBTQ news and culture to more than 150 local communities on radio stations around the world. And we are also a free online news service.
You can choose your favorite way to listen, online or on the air, at thiswayout.org.
Please sign up for our free e-newsletter, Inside This Way Out.
We'll respect your trust in us and make sure your personal information is never shared with others.
Just send us an email at info@thiswayout.org to receive the informative and unique addition to the show.
You'll be invited to join us for a more in-depth look into our stories and be encouraged to learn more about This Way Out's 3 decades of broadcast activism.
We hope you choose to join us in celebration of LGBTQ history and culture.
Email us at info@thiswayout.org to join the movement.
We'll make sure you always know what's going on inside This Way Out.